It's 8:30. Good morning, I'm Ian Crouch with Hunter News. A Cessnock man is due to front court next month accused of assaulting an off-duty police officer at Hamilton. The 26-year-old officer had stopped his car at the traffic lights at the corner of Donald and Beaumont Streets at about 3 o'clock on Saturday morning when one of three men crossing the road placed his hands and then sat on the vehicle, bouncing it up and down. Sonia Roberts from police headquarters says the officer got out and was speaking to one of the men when a second man approached and punched him in the face, knocking him to the ground before the trio left.
The officer, a 26-year-old man, was treated by paramedics at the scene and taken to John Hunter Hospital for observation. He's since been released. Around 11:20 yesterday morning, a 24-year-old man was arrested at Cessnock. He was taken to Cessnock Police Station and charged with assault occasioning actual bodily harm.
The search continues for the teenagers who savagely bashed an Uber driver at Charlestown. A large group of young people ran at Gabriel Long's car in Dudley Road in the early hours of yesterday morning. 4 or 5 youths then pulled the 35-year-old from the driver's seat and punched and kicked him to the ground before he managed to drag himself to a nearby house for help as his car was taken. He's told NBN he thought he was going to die.
I got punched all over my body. I was going to drown. My head was pulling. They will kill me. If I was so weak, they will kill me easily.
A dirt bike rider has suffered broken bones down the right side of his body after crashing into a tree in the Narong State Forest near Bulladila. The 58-year-old man had to be winched out of the forest by the Hunter's Westpac rescue helicopter. He's now in a stable condition in the John Hunter Hospital. Meanwhile, the rescue helicopter was called to Westbrook, northeast of Singleton, yesterday after a 52-year-old woman was crushed against a fence while loading cattle onto a truck. She suffered arm and pelvic injuries and was flown to the John Hunter for treatment. The Health Services Union is calling on the state government to halt plans to privatise the new Maitland Hospital following Health Minister Gillian Skinner's retirement. The privatisation plans were announced in September, and the HSU says incoming Minister Brad Hazzard should walk away from the plan. Union Secretary Gerard Hayes says he'll be looking to speak to the new Premier and Health Minister as soon as possible.
All going well, those discussions will be fruitful. However, if they're not, we'll continue with the campaign, and it's a community-run campaign. That the community of the Hunter is saying that the public health system needs to be maintained by the New South Wales government in public hands and delivered for the public community.
Governing bodies and not-for-profit organisations across the Hunter are being encouraged to apply for the federal government's Building Better Regions Fund. Almost $300 million has been allocated for the grants. Patterson MP Meryl Swanson says the grants are specifically made for those in regional areas.
It doesn't include the major capital cities. It is for the bush and for places like Patterson, places in my electorate, Kurri Kurri, Maitland, Nelson Bay, all those places that are not considered city areas, and that's why it's so important, because it is one of the ways that we can stimulate economic activity and drivers in regional areas.
Paramedics are urging drivers to slow down around Hunter schools as thousands of students return to class. 40 km/h school zones came back into effect from 8 this morning. New South Wales Ambulance Superintendent Stephanie Radnich says it's important to slow down.
We have had a 6 to 8 week break dependent on the school across the state, and now that we're actually returning, it's time to remind people that we do actually have to say, hey, look out, there are kids about.
Sport for our sponsor, PRD Nationwide East Maitland.
Newcastle Jets W League coach Craig Deans will sit down with Chief Executive Laurie McKenna to plot a course for the women's team after they crashed out of the W League finals race on Friday night. They went down 2-0 against the star-studded Melbourne City lineup, who spend the full salary cap amount, unlike the Jets, who spend around half. Despite the clear correlation between spending and success in the W League, Dean says he's happy with the focus on developing local talent. A crowd of around 3,000 turned out to support the Hunter Track Classic on Saturday night, with a number of impressive results for athletes from around the country. Victorian runner Morgan Mitchell recorded the fastest women's 400-metre time for 2017 at just under 52 seconds, while Olympian Michelle Jenneke struggled with a hamstring strain to lose out to Elizabeth Clay in the 100-metre hurdles. And Western Suburbs' top 2020 form in Maitland cricket deserted them in Saturday's 3 grand final appearances, losing the 3rd, 4th and 5th grade finals. And the winning numbers in Weekend Lotto are 19, 6, 37, 28, 10 and 40, and the supplementaries are 33 and 8. 2NURFM News Time, 26 to 9.